Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Was Trained by the Sith Lord, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Konoha was buzzing with activity, as the Chunin exams were days of happening, and many merchants, vendors, and store owners were making their line of goods ready for the foreign customers willing to buy the exotic brands. A large number of Leaf Shinobi were keeping themselves seen throughout the village on high alert, as a large number of foreign Jonin teams and their Jonin senseis came to Konoha to compete in the exams. Among the large group consisted of Suna, Iwa, Kumo, and a few minor shinobi villages for those countries that could fund them while unable to hire from the major ones. Walking through the thick of the groups entering though was a single individual, who walked through the crowds, unseen by the watchful eyes of the host shinobi, and made his way to the seedier part of Konoha. A place where over 90% slept during the day and came out full force during the night, involving the less moral parts of letting out one's frustration in being a shinobi. The part that was awake during the day involved the apartment areas, which were run down, received barely enough money to stay open, and would no doubt be scheduled for demolition in a few years. Throwing a small yet still sizable roll of money at the greedy owner of the apartment he chose, Darth Sage got the key to his room, and asked not to be disturbed for anything. The owner just nodded his head, as he looked at the money, not really caring who had purchased the room, and just counted the currency handed to him. Mentally calling the man a fool, the Sith entered his room, shut the door, and examined his surroundings. Not much considering how low budget it is, but I've got to manage given my plan, and sacrifices must be made for it to work, thought Darth Sage, as he used the dark side of the Force to scare away the insects and rats out of his room while making a mental note to not sleep here at all. If anything, this place was just a cover for when the inevitable investigation would be done, and this place searched for his whereabouts when people pointed the Leaf Shinobi in the direction of temporary residency. They wouldn't find him here, of course. He wasn't an idiot like they no doubt wanted him to be from the start, and would only find an empty dirty room before arresting the owner of the establishment for lying before using their means of acquiring information to get what they want. Only they wouldn't, since the owner didn't know anything about the Sith and would just keep shouting he didn't know for days until they finally believed him. Reaching into his robes, Darth Sage pulled out a storage scroll, and opened it to reveal his various tools of the trade he acquired from the illegal inventory of weapons, with what he wanted being an item sued by shinobi on occasion. Using the Force, the Sith sent the explosive sealed tags all throughout the room, set them with the extremely rare proximity and intruder detection triggers that came with them. Acquired from a missing nin a few years back, but due to their rarity, Gato couldn't sell them off to just anyone, and the heat it would bring down on the company if it was known where such items had been acquired. Which was why Darth Sage felt such items were better off in his own hands and used to their fullest potential in this situation. Hokage's office. Any news, Jiraiya? Said the Sandaime, seeing his former student surprisingly nod that he did in fact have something. Maybe. Recently Gato Kanpani announced a new chairman to replace him after his death in Wave Country. Not many know just who the guy is, but the whispers I've been hearing is he's making some interesting changes to the company, and his name is of someone we would be interested in after reading Kakashi's report on his recent mission, said Jiraiya, seeing the Sandaime's eyes widen. You mean it's Darth Sage? Said the Sandaime with Jiraiya nodding. I think it is. Another piece of information I've learned is that a hunter nin wearing a mask usually worn by Mist Shinobi has been seen there. I don't know if this is the Haku girl the Uchiha fought in Wave Country, but the description is pretty accurate, and that she could be this Darth Sage's right hand. When the guy's not around to run things, she does in his place, and considered to be extremely close to him, said Jiraiya, seeing the Hokage think about this for a second. Can you retrieve her? Perhaps she could be used to persuade him to surrender himself to us, said the Sandaime, knowing it had been done before and just had to be kept a secret from the public eye. It's possible, but I don't know if he's that attached to her, and this is only if it is Haku in the first place. There is also the matter of the Chunin exams popping up now and my search for Naruto, said Jiraiya, while the Sandaime sighed heavily. Yes, the girl and Darth Sage can wait a little while longer. After the Chunin exams are over, find out if the girl is working at Gato Kanpani, and bring her back here so Ibiki can find out how close she is to Sai's killer, said the Sandaime, knowing Danzo was working his own sources to finding Darth Sage and try to convert him should a successful capture happen on his end. And Naruto, said Jiraiya with a small frown. Keep searching, but don't focus on his name, but rather the description, and make sure to emphasize the whisker marks on his face be the key piece of it, said the Sandaime while Jiraiya frowned further. The boy could have gotten wise to us and altered his appearance, said Jiraiya, seeing the Sandaime clearly didn't believe that. Naruto is a child. His mind has no real development and no real understanding of how to blend in, said the Sandaime while Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. Considering he has successfully avoided being found for the past 4 years by my spy network, I'd say that the kid's not so underdeveloped like you think he is, and clearly had a good teacher to help guide him, said Jiraiya while the Sandaime scowled at him. And as a result, an entire building filled with people were slain, said the Sandaime with Jiraiya scoffed at him. Considering how you let people mistreat him, you're lucky the QB wasn't freed, and this village is still standing. More importantly, you're lucky Kushina and Minato aren't here right now to kick our asses into hell themselves, said Jiraiya angrily while the old Hokage snarled at him and rose to his feet. I had no choice and you know it, said the Sandaime angrily. Liar, you knew Tsunade and I were assigned to be the boy's godparents. Tsunade's not here because you had me lie to her and I went along with it because I was grieving over the loss of my student. You preyed on my grief then just like you preyed on the people's anger when telling him of Naruto's status as the QB Jinchuriki to stay Hokage, said Jiraiya with the Sandaime slamming his hand on the desk making it shake violently. Enough. I will not stand here and listen to you badmouth me anymore on this matter Jiraiya, said the Sandaime with Jiraiya glaring at his former sensei. I know your reason for hating Naruto, but we both know it wasn't his fault your wife died, and we both know he deserved better when in this village, said Jiraiya before leaping out the window while the Sandaime's elderly face showed a great deal of fury. Konoha Ninja Academy. Darth Sage watched from the shadows of the forest area, as the Chunin hopefuls entered the building where they would be taking the first of 3 major tests to prove they were worthy of the advancement in rank. Some were cocky, arrogant, and outright believed they were going to become Chunin soon without breaking a sweat. Some were fearful of the tests to come, cautious even since many were taking this for the first time, and in the leaf so it was an unknown landscape for them to cross. Hidden dangers with twists, turns, and traps waiting to be sprung without hesitation at the hands of the proctors being put in charge of the exams by the Hokage. The Sandaime Hokage, thought Darth Sage, as the very title the old man had, and his own betrayal to the young Sith really burned up his blood. Calming himself, the Sith in training used the Force to redirect the dark side energies in a more profound way, and decided to have a little fun at the expense of the leaf. Going slightly deeper into his current place of hiding, Darth Sage channeled the Force to his eyes, giving him a sense of clarity unseen by those without a bloodline, and could only be rivaled possibly by a Hyuga on account of their own eyes doing something similar. His eyes soon saw the inside of the classroom where the Genin teams had entered. The Uchiha was not there on account of the loss of his teammate, and the Sith smiled at that while knowing the spoiled child would be basking in the glory of being nominated. In fact, out of all of Leaf Shinobi participating, most those his age were in it, and both teams that had Genin his age being very green. There was one team near them that had all 3 Genin appearing to be a year older than them and the Sith apprentice could see they were not so green like the others. He saw Suna's team was there too, though whether they were told of the change in plans for the invasion, Darth Sage couldn't tell, but he was sure their Junin sensei would know before going off with them, and then tell the 3 Genin later before it happened to keep Orochimaru from sniffing out a problem. A Kumo team was there, all female from what he could see, which was surprising since most teams usually consisted of 2 males, and 1 female in a Genin squad so this might have some significance outside of the unusual sight. The Sith also sensed the blonde one with the ponytail had a strange feeling about her and couldn't exactly make it out through the Force despite his best efforts to do so. He would look into it later. The team from Iwa was unusual too, as they seemed to have 2 females, and 1 male for a Genin squad. From what he could tell using the Force, Darth Sage could see one of them had a connection to bees, as several were buzzing around, and talking to her. The second woman was less unique, but had her own bit of exoticness from the pupil-less pink eyes, and sensed she was in fact powerful. Perhaps too powerful to be a Genin, but then again so were Kumos, and soon as Genin teams being above that rank yet they hid it well. It appears someone has been reading our strategy book, Master, thought Darth Sage in a joking manner, with Plagueis letting out an amused chuckle. Indeed, the arrogant ones will be the first to fall. The more cautious and fearful will not go so easily, said Plagueis while his Sith apprentice used the dark side to influence the sound team that was Orochimaru's from Rice Country. And here we go, thought Darth Sage, as he channeled the dark side into the three mind of the Jonin from sound, taunting them with whispers of how the shinobi from the major villages were mocking them in secret, and an example had to be made by taking down a shinobi from the leaf to make everyone be put on notice. The Sith watched with glee, as the sound Jonin went after one of the leaf shinobi in the corner holding info cards, and reading what he had on him to the other leaf Jonin he was currently striking up a small conversation with. It also didn't hurt that at the time the man with glasses was going over his cards, the one leaf shinobi with dark shaded glasses had asked if he heard anything about a Darth Sage in the elemental countries, and the conversation was cut off by the surprise attack. However, what the Sith didn't know was that one person in that room knew the truth behind the surprise attack, and was trying to discover the source behind the manipulation. Something happened just then. I sensed an outside energy source travel from outside and into the minds of the sound team, thought one girl with red hair and glasses from Grass while trying to pinpoint it with her sensory ability. The Kanoiki from Grass followed the small trail of dark energy with her abilities, but the problem she found out soon after was the energy would twist, turn, and traverse the forest it came from in an unpredictable manner. Almost like a defense mechanism to protect the source of it from being detected by those that could sense it and throw the pursuer off the trail. Still, the girl was anything if not determined, as she continued following the vast complex trail, and was about to use one of her special abilities to assist when Proctors showed up in an explosion of smoke to get everything started. Oh well, it was fun while it lasted, thought Darth Sage, as he decided to do a little recon of the village, and around the next phase of the Chunin exams when the first one was over. Junin waiting area. Morino Abiki, said Kurenai with Asuma nodding after just telling her who the proctor of the first part of the exam was. Yeah, not surprising you never heard of him until now. You're still pretty new to being a Junin. He's the head of the I&T department. Anko is his second in command, which in a way surprises me she's never mentioned him when you two get together and talk about things. Anyway, while Anko deals with hurting people physically, Abiki deals with the mental torturing, and breaking people in an almost artistic form, said Asuma while Kurenai suddenly felt cold at the idea of her students facing such a strict individual for the first part of the test. Don't worry Kurenai. I'm sure Abiki won't mess him up too badly, said Kakashi, as he was bored, and wanted to pay his fellow Junin a visit. And to rub it in their faces when their teams failed later on. I don't know about that my hip rival. Abiki isn't doing his job correctly if he handles any of the Genin with kid gloves. It's why I waited a whole year for my team to join, said Guy with a serious tone in his voice. If that's the case, then I'm going to get it, and not just from my team, said Asuma, as he would have to deal with some of the parents, and made a mental note to avoid Yoshino for a few days knowing she'd come at him with her frying pan of doom. Otherwise known by all the men of the Nara clan as the man whipper, and feminist holy weapon, used to beat the lazy males of the clan into doing whatever their wives wanted. Yeah, Inoiki-san isn't going to be happy. His princess was so badly shaken up and will want to have a few choice words with you, said Kakashi, as he saw Asuma slump even further, and knew those words would involve being attacked by Yamanaka clan jutsus that would turn his mind into jelly for about 0.2 weeks. Outside of the room, on a tree about 50 feet from the window outside of the building, Darth Sage saw the various Junin talking to each other, and saw soon as assigned Junin in the far corner keeping to himself. Kumo's own, who was a big dark-skinned guy with swords, was leaning against a wall, and Iwa's Junin was in another corner. Focusing on the Suna Junin, the Sith made a mental connection through the Force, and decided to have a little talk with the man. Hello Suna Junin. Don't look around, I'm not in the room, and only speak with your mind, said Darth Sage while the Suna Junin's eyes widened slightly though half his face was covered so no one would see it with their line of sight. Who are you? What do you want? Thought the Junin while wondering if this was some kind of jutsu used by the Mindwalkers of the Leaf. Calm yourself. Baki is it. I'm not an enemy. In fact, I met with your Kazekage not that long ago, and I'm going to assume you were told about the secret's change in the plans regarding the invasion. Said Darth Sage seeing Baki tense slightly, but relaxed a bit, and did a mental nod. He did. I haven't told my Jonin team yet. I was going to inform them of the change after they passed the second part of the exam, thought Baki with Darth Sage nodding. Smart man. Try not to cause problems before then, said Darth Sage before he ended the connection and left for the Forest of Death. Hey, B. Did you sense that? Said the eight-tailed Hachibi inside Killer Bee to its host. Yeah. Someone was outside this building. Someone dark and powerful, thought B, as he decided not to rap for something so serious, and eyed the window to the room where the strange energy was detected. Yes, but be warned though. Something here is not what we think it is. The Hokage wanted you to bring a Hyuga back to Kumo and using your Jonin team to make it happen. This unknown figure could mess this up for us and your village, said Hachibi, knowing the Hokage had wanted the Hyuga bloodline for a while now in Kumo and this was possibly the only time they could make it happen. My students can handle it, thought Killer Bee simply. I hope so, said Hachibi with a hint of worry. Forest of Death. Okay, you whiny babies, this little number behind me is the Forest of Death, where the second part of the Chunin exams will be held, and where half of you will not advance, said Anko, as she grinned at the slightly nervous Jonin teams, and knew more than half of them wouldn't be making it out of this place. Dead or otherwise. So what do we have to do? Said Kiba, knowing there was some kind of objective to this part of the test. Simple. Each team has a scroll. One is the Heaven Scroll, the other is the Earth Scroll, and the goal is to get to the central tower in the Forest of Death with both kind of scrolls in your team's possession. You have 5 days to make to the central tower, which at first may seem like plenty of time, but you also have to consider the different animals, and the various traps we have set up randomly throughout the place. Oh, I almost forgot, you have to keep your eyes open most of the time since each team has to hunt down another with the opposite scroll, and then make it to the central tower in 5 days, said Anko while thoroughly enjoying the sweat coming down the foreheads of each Jonin team. What happens after 5 days? Said Shikamaru while the woman just grinned at him, and it reminded the Nara so much of his mother when she was in one of her evil moods. We come get you if you're not already dead, and we might not be so gentle in carrying you out, said Anko while Shikamaru just mumbled, troublesome, and, of course you would, with his Akamaiki teammate grumbling about being hungry. What do we do about food? Said Choji with Anko grinning further. Live off the land and forage. Shinobi have to do that on long-term missions when away from civilized society, said Anko, having done it herself on more than one occasion. Any words of advice? Said Yugito offhandedly, since she was hoping the woman would give it just out of arrogance. Why, of course. My advice to all of you. Don't die. It's a pain in the ass to do the paperwork, said Anko with a cheesy smile on her face that caused some to face fault onto the ground. Troublesome woman, thought Shikamaru, knowing these trees and the time limit were killing his cloud watching time. Before you go in, sign these consent forms saying that in the event you do die, the leaf isn't held responsible, and avoid all liability in your death from all things inside the Forest of Death, said Anko, causing another face fault. This is why I read Ika Ika Paradise, thought Kankuro while wish he could read it now, but his sister Temari would just destroy it, and then his manhood out of spite. After the consent forms were signed, each team was randomly given a scroll, and were sent on their way while Anko was privately dancing with glee over how many victims her home way from home would be receiving. From the shadows above in a nearby tree, the Sith saw her dancing around weirdly, and shook his head at the woman's antics before leaping from his spot into the Forest of Death. He had targets to scout and collect. With Team 8 several hours later. Damn. We already have an Earth Scroll. We need a Heaven Scroll, said Kiba in clear frustration after his team took out the one from Mist. Please keep your voice down, Kiba. We don't know if anyone else is around, said Shino while Hinata nervously looked around with her Byakugan. Like who? If they were around, Akamaru, and I would have smelled them easily, said Kiba confidently while bordering on arrogant. There are ways to conceal one's scent from people like you, Kiba, said Shino simply while the Inuzuka scoffed. Do you really think any of the Jonin in this exam would know how? Said Kiba, seeing Shino nod, which made the Inuzuka growl at the Aberame, and Hinata was getting a bit worried at this sudden team divide. Please don't fight. Not here. This isn't the time or place for it, said Hinata before she sensed something in the trees moving silently through the shadows, watching them. Or was it just watching her? Such a territorial divide in this Jonin team. What was your sensei thinking when she nominated you three for these exams? said Darth Sage, appearing from the shadows to face the now on guard Leaf Jonin teammate. Who the hell are you? Said Kiba while Akamaru growled at him from the boy's shirt. That's none of your business, runt, said Darth Sage while looking from the Inuzuka to the Aberrame and then finally the Hyuga girl, nervously trying to keep a firm gentle fist stance. What did you say? Said Kiba loudly while Akamaru growled again even louder. Why are you here? Said Shino, as he had his bugs get ready to fight, and yet sensed they were hesitant given the strange energy that swirled around the stranger. Simple. I'm here to recruit only the most worthy of tools to my side, said Darth Sage, seeing them tense up at his words. We are shinobi of the Leaf. Our loyalty is to the village and its Hokage, said Shino, as he saw the Sith grin behind the hood of his robes, and those eyes boring right into them. Your loyalty, while admirable, is sadly misplaced. I should know. He betrayed me since the day I was born, said Darth Sage with Shino raising an eyebrow and saw Hinata falter a bit. So you are from Konoha, said Shino while wondering who among their age group had left the village and gone so far to abduct its own people under the Hokage's nose. Observant. It's a shame you're not the one I seek. You'd be a useful asset to my cause, said Darth Sage while Kiba growled louder. Yeah, well, I'm not going anywhere with you. I smell something foul in your scent, said Kiba with the Sith letting out an amused sounding chuckle. You, my dear Inuzuka, who said anything about wanting you? Said Darth before he eyed the Hyuga girl and saw her stiffen in fear of him. You bastard. Hinata, run. Go outside the forest and get help from a Jonin or the one of the Anbu. Said Kiba, knowing they were going to be disqualified, but at this point it didn't really matter, and they had to protect their teammate from being taken. Fool, said Darth Sage before charging forward, ducked under a swipe from Kiba's now clawed hand, countered with a kick to the Inuzuka boy's face, and used the force to push the Aberrame into a tree. Only for the boy to turn into millions of bugs. Turning quickly, the Sith saw the Hyuga girl by the name of Hinata running through the trees with Shino right beside her, and went in pursuit of them. Or would have if not for the dog the Inuzuka had biting his ankle and growling at him. However, rather than be upset, the Sith just smirked before going, poof. To reveal he was in fact a shadow clone, and everything was going according to plan in capturing the Hyuga. Shino was looking back, sensing Hinata's strange kidnapper was not behind them, and yet it did little to ease the sense of dread the Aberrame felt right now. Hinata herself was now terrified of the fact she was once again being targeted, possibly for her clan's bloodline, and be sold to the highest bidder once caught. It wasn't the first time someone had tried to kidnap her, and Hinata doubted this would be the last since Kumo had been persistent in getting the secrets of the Byakugan. He's not behind us. Don't stop, said Shino before he was thrown violently mid-leap into a nearby tree by an invisible power. By all means, don't stop. It makes the case so much more fun for me, said Darth Sage, now appearing in front of the Hyuga girl and saw she was once again in her gentle fist stance. Did Kumo send you? Said Hinata, seeing the figure scoff. Do you see a Kumo headband? No. I'm not here to take you them or any other village for that matter, said Darth Sage while Hinata looked confused. Then why are you trying to abduct me? Said Hinata, feeling frustrated by this. Because I see your future. Your potential is wasted here, said Darth Sage, as Hinata scowled at him, and sensed his words hit home on a personal level. You don't know anything, said Hinata, as she tried to hold back her anger, but it was so difficult, and it showed. Oh, I know many things, my dear. I know your cousin blames you for his father's death. I know your father hates you because of how you remind him of your late mother. Your sister Hanabi hates you after being nurtured to do so by your arrogant father. How your clan elders want to mark you with the cage bird seal and move you into the branch family to be a servant. Am I getting pretty close to the truth? Said Darth Sage, seeing the girl's eyes now swelling with tears and the anger growing. Shut up, said Hinata while her anger seemed to grow where it would normally shrink from such hurtful words. Why? Because it hurts. Truth like that will always hurt. Especially when we've been living a lie. I know. I lived a lie once. Here, in this very village, and the one orchestrating it was none other than the Sandaime Hokage himself. Do you not remember me, Hyuga Hinata? Do you not remember the blonde boy, who saved you from those bullies that picked on you because of your clan status, and thought they could get away with it? Do you not remember the boy, who took a beating while you ran to get help, and never came back due to your clan not wanting to get involved, said Darth Sage, as he remembered the fight, and how he lost to those older boys. Though they would be pissing blood for a while, and the scolding he got from the Hokage for unnecessary roughness with them was more than worth it. "En Naruto," said Hinata, as she saw the boy smile more at her behind his hood, but then frowned like he was sensing something, and spun around to catch Kiba by the neck. "Get away from Hinata, you murderer," said Kiba while trying to swipe at the Sith with his clawed hands, and only managed to knock the hood back with the wind from each missed blow. And made Hinata gasp. After Naruto had saved her from the bullies, she went one of the Hyuga branch family members, and told them what had happened with the blonde boy being attacked in her place. Hinata thought the branch family member would assist in protecting the boy from the abuse, but instead he guided her home, ignoring the protest of her voice trying to command him to help Naruto. The branch member ignored the Hyuga girl, and basically dragged her away to the Hyuga clan compound. Upon meeting her father, Hinata had told him everything, but rather than be angry at the bullies for smearing the name of the Hyuga clan through his daughter, Hiashi had become infuriated at how she did nothing against them from the start, and had to be saved by the demonic abomination that was Uzumaki Naruto. "Ah, I take it you know what I did before leaving this place," said Darth Sage with a grin before throwing the Inuzuka into a nearby tree. "I know of it. You butchered the people at the orphanage 4 years ago. The people kept saying you were a monster, a demon in human skin, and your actions that day proved it," said Kiba with Darth Sage scoffing at them before putting his hood over his face. "As if the people in the leaf are any less guilty in their treatment of me. I've been beaten, stabbed, forced to survive off of eaten rotten food, if any food at all from that place, and rainy cold weather when they kicked me out. Growing up, you had your clan to comfort you during dark times, a mother's love when sad, her kiss on your forehead at night with whispered words of, 'I love you,' before going to sleeping in your warm bed, and feeling that your family would be there for you," said Darth Sage, feeling his anger at the Inuzuka slowly rising within him. "It doesn't give you the right to hurt them, Naruto," said Shino, limping into view with the Sith apprentice glaring at the Aberrame. "As if you're one to talk, Aberrame. How many times have people whispered at how your clan was filled with freaks? How many times have people crushed bugs in your presence knowing your people hated it? I know. I also there are times when your emotions reach the surface of even your stoic, seemingly emotionless persona, and want to unleash every bug inside of you onto them," said Darth Sage, seeing Shino twitch slightly. "How does he know that?" thought Shino, seeing the Sith let out a chuckle. "Your thoughts betray you. So do the bugs when it comes to these people that scorn your clan for being different. Still, you cool down in the end on the belief logic shall prevail, and people will think logically in the end. Sadly, not every does," said Darth Sage, as he saw Shino's hand twitch, and turned his attention back to Hinata. "Don't listen to him. He killed those people. He killed Sai," said Kiba while struggling against the tree, and saw Akamaru appear across from him, hiding in the bushes waiting to strike. "And I would do it again without flinching. I tire of this conversation and I have to be elsewhere. More candidates outside of you await me," said Darth Sage, as he used the force to slam Kiba's head against the tree, and made Shino fall down into slumber before focusing once again on Hinata. "I'm sorry I didn't come back for you, Naruto. I wanted to. I swear it," said Hinata, as part of her feared he would attack, and it felt wrong to fight him after all he had done for her. "I know. Which is why your team will be spared further if you surrender to the influence of my power," said Darth Sage, as he used his power to make Hinata sleepy, but her mind was so focused it was not as easy, and was unconsciously fighting him. "You promise," said Hinata, seeing her former hero frown slightly. "Master, what do I do? You know how I feel about keeping promises," thought Darth Sage to his master, also thinking this over. "Agree to it. Just because you spare them now doesn't mean they will be spared later in the future," said Plagueis, seeing his Sith apprentice nod. "I promise, Hinata," said Darth Sage at last while seeing Hinata lower her defenses against him. "Thank you. Nah. Oh," said Hinata, as she swayed under the invisible power that had entered her mind, and commanded it to shut down into the realm of dreams. "All too easy," said Darth Sage, as he caught the girl, and placed her in one of the several storage scrolls in his possession. Taken from Gato's inventory of things pilfered from dead shinobi, and couldn't be used without raising red flags from shinobi villages. One down. Several more to go. I say go after the Iwa girls next. The one with the bees seemed to be doing this to regain her lost honor, said Kyubi, having gotten that feel from the girl. And the other two on Iwa's team. Thought Darth Sage to both Plagueis and Kyubi. Kill the male shinobi. He is of no use, said Plagueis with his Sith apprentice nodding and turned to QB. Agreed. Kill the male shinobi of the team, but recruit the 2 females. I sense they are each descended from a strong bloodline, said QB, knowing that those 2 from Iwa would be most helpful to its vessel. With the Hyuga girl successfully captured, he made several shadow clones, and sent it with his prize away from the leaf. With his shadow clones off to send his first new tool from the leaf back to Gato Kanpani, and went deeper into the forest search of his other prey scattered throughout the region. Iwa's Jonin team. Damn leaf shinobi and their forest of death. So many insects here and we can't stay long enough to capture at least one for study, said Suzumbachi, as she knew several bees here were above normal, and could breed them in Iwa with the proper conditioning to bring back the greatness of her clan. Quit your complaining. We'll get through this place, beat those little leaf genin runts at their own exams, and show Iwa is superior to them in every way, said Kuretsuki, as she only entered the Chunin exams under the pretense of being a genin to scout the future enemy Iwa would have to face, and take a few of them out before another conflict began. I'm sorry to disappoint you 3, but such an event won't be taking place anytime soon, said the figure appearing from the shadows and standing in front of their intended path. Who the hell are you? Said the only male and chubby one at that among of his squad. My name is Darth Sage and these 2 are coming with me, said the Sith, as he pointed to 2 female Iwa shinobi, and put the group instantly on guard. And why would Suzumbachi and I come with a runt like you? Said Kuretsuki while the Sith apprentice just looked her dead in the eyes. A runt. My dear, you are going to regret ever calling me that. In fact, when this is all over, you will be calling me Master, said Darth Sage, as he unsheathed Lunar Eclipse, and could feel his connection to the dark side of the Force become even stronger. I've had enough of you, punk. I'm going to shove that bathrobe you're wearing down your throat and AAAH. Said the male Iwa shinobi, as he moved forward, not believing the boy was the dangerous entity few knew was in fact true, and in a quickly slash had been cut diagonally in half. Before the top half of his body slowly started sliding down when the power of gravity decided to make it descend to the ground. You Iwa shinobi disappoint me. Surely you both can do better than he did, said Darth Sage, as he saw the 2 women look at him in shock, and then get ready for a fight. Water style, water trumpet jutsu, said Kuretsuki, as she launched an attack at the Sith, and hit him dead on. Only for it to be stopped by an unseen power that he used to hold back the water with his outstretched left arm and hand. What? That's not possible, said Suzumbachi, as she saw the water fall around them, and then at the Sith. So narrow-minded. No wonder your clan has lost its status, said Darth Sage, as he saw her eyes widen, and clenching of teeth from that face now filled with anger. I'll show you. Bee-bomb jutsu, said Suzumbachi, as she unleashed the bees with explosive tags at him, and waited for them to explode with more than enough power to wipe that confident smirk off his face. What she didn't expect was the boy raising his left hand again, shooting lightning from his fingertips, and frying every single bee she sent his way. They dropped like stones, but smelled like burned corpse, and when Darth Sage walked on one them, it made a loud crunch noise that made Suzumbachi flinch. Such a waste. I think I see the reason now why your village shuns your clan. Still, you are not without your potential, and I can make you more powerful than your predecessors if you join me. I'd rather not waste my time trying to break your mind down and work from the ground up in rebuilding it, said Darth Sage, seeing both women glaring at him. Like that will win us over, you little shit. I'd rather die than be your puppet or shay slave, said Kuretsuki while the Sith scoffed at her. I have no interest in the pleasures of flesh just yet. Even if I did, I would prefer it with a willing female partner, and not some mindless shay doll. I do have standards, said Darth Sage, as he had been having certain talks with QB on learning about the female body, and was preparing him for the inevitable first time he would get with a woman. Plagueis wasn't sure if his Sith apprentice would need it, but then again his species was that of a moon, and not a full-blooded human like the boy with those basic instincts to lay with another with the chance of reproducing. Still, for all Plagueis knew, his prodigy of a student would be laying with various women, and embrace passion like the female laying next to him after their fornicating with. All the same, brat, we're going to pass on being your captives, and future servants, said Kuretsuki, preparing another jutsu, but found one of her hands yanked backwards, and had the blade of the Sith's dangerous-looking sword against her neck. I have no problem killing you. If I can't wield you as my tools, I can make it so no one else can, And right now you are leaning towards that general direction, said the shadow clone version of the Sith. Agreed. Tools that won't obey a master, who can make them reach new heights are not worth the fuss of obtaining, and should be destroyed, said Darth Sage, as he readied Lunar Eclipse to slice through Suzumbachi, and then order his shadow clone to kill Kuretsuki when the former put her hands up in surrender. Wait, I give up. Just don't kill Kuretsuki-sama, said Suzumbachi, as she saw the blade touching the flesh of her Iwa teammate, and already it had drawn blood from it. Suzumbachi, said Kuretsuki while giving the woman a glare. If I become your tool, will you spare Kuretsuki-sama? Said Suzumbachi, seeing the Sith thinking it over. I don't know. I'm not real big on showing mercy. Your dear teammate Kuretsuki knows my name, she'll report me to her superiors, and will no doubt bring a lot of heat I don't need down on me. Plus, I have no guarantee you'll behave yourself afterwards, and not try to run back to Iwa. For all I know, you'll run off before I'm done showing just how rewarding being my loyal servant can be when compared to your own village, since its shinobi would sooner kill you, than hear your side of things, and just remove you that way, said Darth Sage, as he let out a small sigh, and saw both women were starting to sweat a little at where his line of thought was heading. Please, Sage-sama. She's the granddaughter of the current Sandaime Tsuchikage and I'm the granddaughter of the first Tsuchikage, said Suzumbachi pleadingly while the Sith raised an eyebrow at that. I see. So she has pull with your current Tsuchikage then. Interesting. Okay. You talk me into it. I'll spare her and take you back with me to become my new subordinate. In exchange, she must promise on the life of her grandfather, an entire family, that no Iwa shinobi will come after me, said Darth Sage, knowing once the woman made that little promise, she would be bound to it, and the Tsuchikage would have no choice unless he wanted to lose his life along with the rest of the family. I promise on my life, as the daughter of the Sandaime Tsuchikage, and our family, that no Iwa shinobi will come after you for this, said Kuretsuki while the Sith narrowed his eyes and used force choke on Suzumbachi while levitating her in the air. Say it and mean it, or you both die, said Darth Sage viciously, as he saw right through her, and his shadow clone pressing Lunar Eclipse closer in the neck of the woman to cause more blood to leak out. All right, I swear it under pain of death of myself, my grandfather, and my entire family that no Iwa shinobi in our village will come after you. I promise, said Kuretsuki with Darth Sage narrowing his eyes at her before releasing the force choke on Suzumbachi before using his power to make the woman collapse on the ground in a force-induced sleep. You're not going to make it to the next round. If you tell the Tsuchikage anything about me, I'll kill her, then him, and finally yourself. Do I make myself clear? Said Darth Sage while Kuretsuki nodded slightly and risked further injury to her neck. What do I tell my grandfather? He'll demand an explanation from me, said Kuretsuki, knowing her grandfather wouldn't just believe too well beyond Jonin level shinobi had lost to this place. Simple. Lie. Lie your heart out to him. Make something up. Just keep me out of it. You betray this small act of mercy and not even the entire shinobi army of Iwa will stop me from making you weep like a little girl at the despair I will bring to your doorstep, said Darth Sage before force pushing her into a nearby tree and went to work in acquiring his second tool from the Forest of Death. It was time for number 3. With grass Jonin team. Shit. Stupid forest. Stupid team. Stupid glasses. Stupid Chunin exams, said Karen, as she along with her entire team had been attacked by what could only be called a bear pumped up on steroids, and lost both her teammates to the damn thing while she became the survivor of the mauling it gave them. Only to trip while running away from the pissed off bear, lose her glasses, which made her unable to see clearly, and most likely die a painful, humiliating death unbefitting of a shinobi at the hands of the bear. She had been so distracted since entering the Forest of Death, as she was overwhelmed with chakra signatures, none of which were remotely close to the dark one she had sensed earlier outside the Leaf Shinobi Academy building, and had been searching for it while in this place. Sadly, it was the main reason Karen had missed the bear coming down on her team, and got them killed while she was soon to be killed. She could hear the bear moving closer, howling in anger for something Karen's team no doubt did when entering the Forest of Death to piss it off, and scrambled faster for the glasses. The sound of the beast suddenly howling out in pain made the girl work even faster, knowing that while the bear was bad enough, whatever was hurting the bear was even worse, and yet it gave Karen a means to escape from whatever the thing was that made her want to face the bear instead. When she did find her glasses, Karen put them on, adjusting them so her eyesight would be perfectly focused, and came upon the sight of a robed figure surrounded by the dark energy she had sensed. The bottom of his black combat boots were caked in blood of the now dead animal, the sword in the stranger's hand radiated that same dark energy, and yet was being held back by the user out of some sense to remain unseen by others. His robes concealed most of his clothing, but she saw it was black too, with a hint of metallic armor around several areas to ensure protection while keeping flexibility, and a hood covering any hair he might possess while shadowing the face with 3 whisker marks on each cheek barely being seen. You weren't on my list of people I wanted to take, but I see the potential, and I don't intend to waste it, said Darth Sage, seeing the girl back up away from him until she hit a tree. Who are you? What do you want from me? Said Karen, as she saw him approach, and felt the dark energy surround her form. It almost seemed to move faster the more she began to fear it. All in due time, my new servant. All in due time. Now sleep, said Darth Sage, with his words coming out of his mouth in a soothing tone, as he used the force to make the girl fall asleep under his power, and quickly sealed her up in a storage scroll. You do realize most of the soon-to-be tools in your possession are female, right? Said QB, seeing its vessel stop in thought for a moment to realize the fox was in fact right. Perhaps. It just proves females are more competent than their male counterparts in being useful and powerful tools for the Sith, thought Darth Sage while QB just chuckled. We'll see, said QB, but more to himself, than either its vessel, or Plagueis himself, having noticed what the fox did in the boy's choices of acquiring useful tools for shinobi. Still, Plagueis couldn't deny the females of the human species showed more promise in being loyal subordinates than the males, and with greater potential in their skills too. So for now, the Sith spirit would let his Sith apprentice have these women in his ranks, and see just how far they could go in terms of helping the boy achieve his goals. And if his apprentice got to enjoy the pleasures of the flesh like some Sith did in the past 1,000 years when he got older with them, then so be it. Leaf Jonin Team 9. Yosh. We will win this day, my youthful teammates, said Lee while Tenton groaned, resisting the urge to smash her spandex-wearing teammate into the ground 6 feet under with a spiked club, and Neji, well, he was going through mini activations of his eyes. The only reason Neji didn't strike Lee's chakra points to cause him unimaginable pain at the moment was because it wouldn't do any good. Damn chakra level being high enough to only support the boy's life. Lee, if you keep yelling like that, every shinobi will come after us, and while that is not necessarily a bad thing, I have no intention of fighting all of them, said Neji, as he just needed one Earth Scroll, and they could get to the central tower. If Lee had his way, they fight everyone, and bring every scroll from every team with them to prove their youthfulness. Oh, how Neji hated that word. It should be abolished from the dictionary of the world. Banned from every being spoken by anyone under the pain of death. Then Neji would be able to legally kill Lee without even trying. Now only his Hyuga pride wouldn't get in his way. The branch family prodigy of the clan could do an evil tyrant laugh that would bring about dark clouds, thunder, and the evil lightning that came with the laugh. You don't have to fear any potential threats. I am the only one you have to face, said Darth Sage from behind them and saw the Jonin all getting ready for a fight. Identify yourself, said Neji quickly, as he got into his gentle fist stance, and his eyes now active. I am Darth Sage, Dark Lord of the Sith, said the Sith while the team stiffened slightly at his name. You were the one in Wave Country. The one responsible for the death of Sai from Jonin Team 7, said Tenton with a sword out and ready to strike. Perhaps. Not that you should care. He would have killed you all in a heartbeat if ordered by his superiors. Sai was a drone to a much bigger hive, said Darth Sage, as he stayed unmoving, and began analyzing each of them for their potential. What do you want from us, Sage-san? Said Lee while in his strong fist taijutsu stance and prepared for the inevitable battle. You. More precisely the two of you to join me, said Darth Sage while Neji scoffed, Tenton scowled, and Lee shook his head in refusal. Why would you want Lee? He is not what you call the ideal shinobi, said Neji while seeing the figure in front of him just laugh. Through your narrow-minded eyes perhaps, but I see potential in him, and I know when there is potential in someone. Your sensei was smart to train you, Rock Lee. Despite your so-called handicap, you are much stronger than the Hyuga is, and he knows it too. It's why he puts you down. It's why he tries to instill a sense of negativity on you. He fears your potential and power because it will destroy the lie that he has built the foundation of his life upon, said Darth Sage while Lee's eyes widened and looked at Neji currently scowling deeply at the Sith. Don't listen to him, Lee. He speaks nonsense, said Neji venomously at the Sith. Do I? Listen to me, Lee. I was once like you. Shunned by people. Made fun of at times too, if only for different reasons, and hated for it. Like he hates you. Like he hates his cousin Hinata, who Neji would kill without a second thought, and without care of who was watching, said Darth Sage seeing Neji's eyes widen in shock. How does he know that? Thought Neji seeing the Sith grin viciously at him. But let's not take my word for it. Let's settle this in an honorable fashion. A one-on-one fight against each of you. The winner decides the fate of loser, said Darth Sage knowing Lee would not refuse a fight while the other two would be more reluctant. Yosh. I accept. If I win, you will surrender yourself into our custody, and be brought before Hokage-sama for questioning, said Lee with the Sith nodding. And if I win, you must cast away being a Konoha shinobi, and pledge your loyalty to me. Deal, said Darth Sage with Lee nodding in agreement. I accept, said Lee before charging forward a second later and the Sith caught his fist before it could make contact. You're an eager one, aren't you? You will prove to be a most useful tool to my plans, said Darth Sage, as he blocked more strikes from Lee, using his combat skills taught by QB, and Darth Plagueis knowing there would come a time when fighting in close combat would be a must for him. With all due respect, Sage-san, but I have no intention of being loyal to anyone other than the Hokage, and the Leaf, said Lee, as he blocked a kick, and retaliated with his own that the Sith blocked before throwing him into a tree. Your current Hokage is not someone you should stay loyal to, Lee-san. It's because of him, I left the Leaf 4 years ago, and went on my own to achieve greatness, said Darth Sage, as he saw Lee get up, and charge at him again once again did battle. He's actually holding his own against Lee. That shouldn't be possible, said Tenten in disbelief, as she saw the two moving at equal speed, and the Sith showing no signs of slowing down in the slightest. He's not even using his chakra. He's using something else. Something dark and cruel that I can barely see with my eyes. What is it? Thought Neji, as he watched Darth Sage hit Lee with an uppercut, and then followed up with a spin kick. Lee was sent flying back into another tree before he tried getting up, only to have his foe upon him, striking viciously at key points of his body, until one final blow to the head sent him crashing down, and out like a light. The Sith apprentice had just taken out a storage scroll when a kunai hit the tree in front of him, but young boy didn't care about the weapon, as he knew it was a warning from the female of Lee's teammate to stop what he was about to do, and turned his head slightly at them. Care to throw your hat into the ring and make the same wager? Said Darth Sage seeing the girl looking at him with a murderous fury in her eyes. No, I'm stopping you from taking my teammate, said Tenten with the Sith letting out an amused chuckle before pulling out the kunai thrown at him from the tree. You're very skilled. You could have thrown this at me dead on, yet this was merely a warning shot to stay away from Lee, and hoped it would have the intended effect. It did not, said Darth Sage, as he quickly made a shadow clone, and handed it the storage scroll to do his job for him while he handled the girl himself. Shut up. I don't care what deal you made with Lee, he's not going with you, and you're not leaving here unless it's to face the Hokage, said Tenten before she threw another kunai at the shadow clone, but was easily stopped by the Sith, who used the kunai in his hands, and smirked at her for the attempt. Your loyalty to him is commendable. I will enjoy having such a skilled tool under my command, said Darth Sage and saw the girl get angrier. We're not some weapon like a sword or kunai you can just use before throwing away when it's no longer necessary to use us, said Tenten with the Sith once more laughing at her. Sure you are. A cage from one of the shinobi villages do it all the time. You think a shinobi becomes a missing for the hell of it? No. Some of them leave because the cage of their village feels threatened by them and secretly orders their death while covering it up with a story that the public will not be able to dispute. Your Hokage is a hypocrite and will betray you, just as he betrayed me, said Darth Sage before turning and giving his shadow clone a head motion to move out. Come back here, said Tenten running after the shadow clone, but caught in midair, and then thrown back down into the ground. Don't worry. You'll see him again after I've defeated you, said Darth Sage and saw Tenten get up before looking at Neji. Neji, what are you doing? Go after this guy's copy and get Lee, said Tenten while Neji just stayed focused on the Sith. Why? Lee is weak. One less pathetic shinobi in our ranks and on our team, said Neji while mentally screaming out that it was not him and the Sith had infiltrated his mind to temporarily speak for him. What? How can you say that? Said Tenten while glaring at the Hyuga. See, I told you. Neji doesn't want Lee around because his teammate will outshine him and the so-called Hyuga prodigy would be considered a joke. Just like with you, said Darth Sage while keeping his fatigue at such constant using of the Force against Neji from showing on his face. You're lying, said Tenten, as she glared at the Sith now, and he just smirked at how her anger was blinding the girl's mind. Really? Has he ever shown any interest in you as a friend? How long have you tried to get Neji to open up, but receive only coldness in return, and simply used like a tool for his own means of getting stronger? Said Darth Sage seeing the girl pause in reaching for a kunai to think about her entire year of being with Neji training. How he always turned her down when she asked the Hyuga prodigy to eat with her. How he'd command her to work on his training regimen while barely getting her own done. How she would encourage Lee while Neji would scoff and look at them coldly like they had it so much better than them. How he considered both her and Lee to be commoners when compared to the Hyuga clan regardless if he was a branch family member. He's right. Neji has been treating me like a tool for his own ends. I've been having my growth stunted by training with him and deep down. I think he knew it, thought Tenten at the horrible realization kicked in. I would never treat you like that. With my help, you would grow stronger, as I need strong and loyal tools to help me achieve my goals, said Darth Sage seeing the girl glare at him once again though her anger was aimed more for Neji than himself. And when I'm no longer useful? Said Tenten questioned seeing the Sith smirk. You really think I would just cast you aside with a flick of my wrist? I want all the tools I possess to reach their maximum potential in life and use it to its fullest while under my command. Only through me can you achieve a power greater than anything this village has and your own goal of being strong just like Senju Tsunade herself. Said Darth Sage, as he saw into the girl's mind, and her heart's desire. At the moment, Tenten didn't know what to believe, as she wanted to be stronger than any Kunoichi in the Leaf, and be just like the famous medic nin Senju Tsunade. Her idol was one of the three Sannin, renowned the world over, as the greatest Kunoichi of her time, and considered the best medic nin to ever live. Tenten's dream was to be strong like her idol, to be on the same level just like her, and be considered the greatest of all time in the weapons field. Don't be swayed by him, Tenten. Fight him, thought Neji, as he saw Tenten looking so lost, and confused at what to do next. Until the Sith did it for her and knocked Tenten out with one chop to the back of the neck before turning to face Neji. Thank you for your help, Neji-san. I now have another useful tool thanks to your vocal assistance. Said Darth Sage before using Sith Lightning on the Hyuga prodigy while using just enough to knock the boy out. Making another batch of shadow clones, he had them seal up Tenten, and then leave for the safest place to leave the Forest of Death undetected. After the shadow clones left, the Sith apprentice found a nearby tree to recover his strength, and decided this was good first day in looting shinobi from different villages while the Leaf would take the blame in letting it happen. Still, the Force warned him of the dangers lurking in this place, and to stay on guard until he could fully recover. Rest, my apprentice. You have done well. Tomorrow will be an even greater bounty of tools for you to collect, said Plagueis, as he saw his tired Sith apprentice resting, and needing a reprieve for a little while until strong again to repeat it all over again. By the time this was over, the Sandaime Hokage would like a fool, and the Leaf would be in disgrace with its allies becoming the Siths in secret. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.